Chelsea and Palmeiras are through to the quarterfinals of the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. And let's start with the game that finally just ended. Chelsea versus Benfica, where the headlines are going to be about the match delays. Unreal how we experienced this game and how it started at such a earlier time in the day and ended 4 hours later. Damn near hour and a half delay due to weather.
Yeah.
But the game continues on, gets pushed to extra time. We'll talk about the details. But Chelsea ends up winning 4-1 to see themselves in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, dude, you were able to catch a whole ass movie in between the delays, dude. You could do a lot. But Chelsea end up scoring 3 goals in extra time. I think that's the story here. Benfica, in my opinion, get very lucky to end the game with that penalty. Just really bad luck for Chelsea. Augusto with a pretty crazy flailing arm, and the ball just hits it at the worst time for him.
That's unlucky.
I think by the rules, though, it is a penalty. I actually don't blame the referee.
It's one of those, bro.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
I really don't. And Chelsea go on, dominate the extra time. Finally, they break through, because I got to give credit to Benfica for their entire performance here. Yes, they do lose 4-1. There's a red card. I think that probably had a lot to do with it, but they played hard in this game. You said there was like 15 million on the line, right?
13 million on the line in this game, yes.
And I think every Benfica player was told, just do everything you can to try and push this game to penalties.
Dude, I felt that too. This was a classic Benfica performance from what we've seen from Benfica this past season. They showcased a similar performance against Barcelona where they were able to keep it very tight. I thought the center backs were shaping up the narrative for this Portuguese side. Those first 65 minutes with Otamendi and Silva putting in great performances, stopping every single moment of brilliance from the Chelsea attack. But ultimately, it was that Reece James free kick, which was actually technically incredible, bro.
Yeah.
Watching the replay, it's insane how you was able to find that bottom left corner, sneak it past the goalkeeper from a very difficult angle, gives Chelsea the 1-0 lead, and they look to be in control for the rest of the match. The match delay happens, game returns, and yeah, the penalty. Di Maria stepping up and scoring the goal, making it 1-1. In extra time, though, once that red card occurred for Prestiani and Benfica was down to 10 men, it seemed very clear that Benfica was just trying to keep up with the pace of this Chelsea attack. A rare occasion where the team is actually rested going into extra time because of the match delay. I think that showed with goals from Nkunku, Neto, and Dewsbury Hall. I want to talk about the Nkunku goal, though, because that was the one that decided the game ultimately, broke the deadlock. Tough goal to concede if you're a Benfica fan, bro, because it goes under the keeper's arm. It gets saved by Otamendi, who's able to clear it out. But in the process, rebounds off of Nkunku. Nkunku steps up, shoots high as Otamendi tries to retrieve the ball and get in the way. Unfortunate goal as Nkunku finally has his moment with Chelsea in the big stage. Chelsea goes up 2-1, and then the rest was history.
But yeah, the goal itself was so indicative of how this game was. It was a brawl. It was a grueling match. Benfica did everything they could to make it physical, and that was the type of goal that Chelsea needed to actually create some separation between them and Benfica. It was ugly, man.
Yeah.
It was such just bobble in the box, and Cuckoo does well to eventually put it away. But my God, Chelsea up until that point had to grind this game out. And as you put, the only goal they scored before that was the Reece James free kick. It was from a dead ball situation.
Yeah.
So the open play, Benfica dominated defensively, even though Chelsea had a lot of the ball. So, yeah, ultimately, great win here for Chelsea. They really had to earn it. I'm just, especially even after the group stage performance, I'm just left with a bit of frustration when it comes to this Chelsea side because they have so much on the ball. When you look at the squad, you have Enzo Fernandez in midfield, Moises Caicedo right alongside an exciting Romeo Lavia, and then up top you have probably the most young, exciting British talents in Cole Palmer. You have Pedro Neto, who's a very good Premier League winger, but it's not leading to goals right now. It's just not. It's leading to a lot of just around the box action, but there's not even a lot of concrete chances being made for Chelsea. So, I don't know. I think Chelsea have kind of been like this low-key since like January, December timeframe. And it's just not getting better.
Yeah, I had the exact same takeaway, man. I thought the character they showed in this game was very impressive. it looked hot as fuck out there, bro.
Yeah.
Hot as fuck. The fact that Cole Palmer played this entire match, props to him. Even though there was that match delay, bro, I was feeling tired just by watching him because I know what that heat is like. And to perform in this type of game, a gritty game that, you take the lead in, but then Benfica gets back into it. You get pushed into an extra time situation and then going off the way they did. I think that showed a lot of good character, which is good as you build yourself up towards this tournament. But yeah, I feel like Chelsea fans, from what I'm seeing online and just watching the game myself, you have to feel frustrated, man. Yeah. The talent, the individual talent is incredible, but they can't seem to maximize each other or have that chemistry that you would expect to be had for teams with this high level of talent, bro. And so that's the thing that really surprised me so far. There was a moment in the Premier League season where I felt like Enzo Maresca was able to unlock that. I don't know if it was the presence of a guy like Jadon Sancho on the wings or Nico Jackson finding his form for a moment in the season. I don't know what the deciding factor was, but this is definitely different from what we saw back then. And I agree, since January, since the turn of the year, honestly, it's felt like Chelsea hasn't been able to tap into this free-flowing football that generates lots of opportunities and lots of goals. I don't know if we're going to see that at the Club World Cup, but I do know that we're going to get a Chelsea side that's going to fight to the death and just try to grind out results. Maybe it's enough to get to the semifinals.
It might be. The talent definitely is there, so Chelsea showed great fight, as you said. I think for me, what's frustrating when I see Chelsea play is when they were on it last season, it's because they had so much width and space out wide. They would use Cole Palmer kind of in a creative central role, so he was getting a lot more touches. It was like Goat Palmer type of play where he was just completely taking over games offensively. But now there's just that space is completely gone, and they're playing too much like Arsenal, where there's like a bigger focus on possession. I think possession actually hurts this Chelsea side. I think they would be better if they just sat back, had Palmer in the middle so he could sling balls left or right to his wingers, and they could run onto the ball in space. But with this possession-oriented type of style, I just think you don't get the best or the most out of their wingers. And Neto and Madueke, they just want to run.
But Neto especially, dude.
I don't think they get that opportunity with the style that they're playing right now. So you get a confused Palmer, you get a confused or frustrated Madueke and Neto. So I just don't like the way they're playing stylistically. But they're working hard out there. So that's the good news for Chelsea. One thing I want to end on when it comes to this Chelsea side, and I want to know the fans' opinion on this, so please leave your comment in the comment section. I want to know what people really think about Liam Delap. I really want to know, because there are moments so far in his debut with Chelsea at this tournament where I see something very special. But it's only in fleeting moments.
Yeah.
And I just think Delap has the makings of a great, great striker. I just hope that he's able to fully fulfill that potential.
I wonder if, Chelsea fans thinks he's like the next Harry Kane.
I wonder.
Or if he's like, I don't know, just a tier below that. If that's even possible for him, because that'd still be really good. Or is it like a 10-goal average throughout the league season type of guy?
Don't tell me that.
When I see performances like today, I think it might be more that way. But in the past 2 games, he's been better, and he showed flashes too. So I feel like this tournament has been weird to judge him on, because he just arrived. He just put on the jersey. It's a weird tournament to get your footing in. So I'm going to wait and see for him. Absolutely. But I definitely like the prospect, the idea, the concept of Liam Delap more than I ever liked Nico Jackson. Yeah. More than I ever liked Timo Werner, for example, back in those days. I think this is a very promising addition that I'm excited to see. And you can feel the Chelsea fans' excitement towards him as well. We saw him play his debut at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium against LAFC. People were really, really excited about his presence with this team. I think that's really cool. And I agree with you. I like the idea of playing or leaning more into the transitional play that this team can do, because Pedro Neto, he scored today in transition. Yeah. When we saw him play live against LAFC, he scored in transition, bro. And he's a killer. His dribbling is so tight. His finishing is really good. But I just don't think he knows how to break down a defense when the defense is settled in. Yeah. So, I think that's up to Enzo to really figure out. And they'll have a really interesting opponent in the next round that I think might bring up the same issues once again, because they're very, very sturdy defensively. That team is Palmeiras, who just defeated Botafogo. Botafogo. Also in extra time with a 1-0 result. Paulinho scoring at the exact 100th minute. In a game that also was pretty grueling, bro.
Yeah,
grueling match, man. I had mentioned in the preview that I predicted this game would be very Brazilian, and brother, it got super Brazilian, man.
Yeah.
It really did, with constant fouling, with a very physical atmosphere, a lot of stoppages of play, and just trying to find a way to break each other's defenses, ultimately resulting in more of a midfield battle. But eventually, Botafogo couldn't hold on. Paulinho breaks the defense, beautiful slip finish. And they take the 1-0 lead and they never give it back. Although there were some crazy moments to end this game.
Yeah, that Paulinho finish was fantastic. Nice little feint to open up the space, and then he slots it home beautifully. But that was pretty much the only chance of the entire game from both sides. Truly. The rest was a bunch of half chances, mainly to Palmeiras, as I thought they were the clear better side. But towards the end of the game, and also just throughout the normal 90 in general, Botafogo were actually decent in transition at times, and there were moments where if a lucky bobble went their way, they probably could have scored it to make it 1-1. So I think the tightness of this game was exactly what I expected to be. This is Brazilian football at its finest. I'm talking 0-0s. I'm talking 1-0 type of score lines.
It's just crazy for a country that's so famous for their flair.
Yeah.
That a lot of games can end up being like this when it's a Brazilian team against another Brazilian team.
Oh my God.
I'm glad people got to see it and experience it in a setting like this, but it is kind of fascinating that it does happen pretty often.
That's why I didn't like this matchup, because I just knew Botafogo weren't going to figure this out, or I knew that Palmeiras, if they were to figure it out, it just wouldn't be the prettiest way to do it.
Yeah.
I think we could have gotten more fun matchups if they played European sides. But either way, we got a guaranteed Brazilian side into the quarterfinals. Is Palmeiras. What's your problem with Palmeiras, bro?
Hold on. We need to talk about the game yet, because I think there was two notable things that happened after Paulinho scored that could have been Botafogo tying this game. Vitinho had a pretty clear opportunity off an amazing pass that he just completely failed to really get a hit on. That was disappointing.
Right.
And then I want to credit Palmeiras' defender, Fuchs, who had one of the most insane, I'm going to die for my team for the badge moments. 119th minute, I believe. It's a bobble in the box, and Weverton can't possess the ball, and he loses it, actually, with Botafogo sticking a foot in.
Yeah.
And Fuchs avoids getting his hand on the ball, dives with his head flat on the floor, touches it, and somehow a foul is called and stuff. But I wanted to highlight that moment because it could have been a goal for Botafogo, but it was also a moment of resilience, a moment of pride for Palmeiras and what they are capable of, especially defensively. My problem with Palmeiras, bro, I think this is their ceiling then. I think they've maxed themselves out. I think quarterfinal appearance and winning against one of the weaker round of 16 opponents is the most I can give this Palmeiras team. But you're right. They can grind out results. I just think that eventually that will stop working against a much more elite side.
Absolutely. What's interesting about Palmeiras is in all three of their group stage games, they were the better team going into it on paper. In this match, also on paper, they were the better team. So they have not had a match at this tournament where they're actually the underdogs.
True.
That's the crazy part. So this next matchup where they'll play Chelsea, we're going to see a different Palmeiras side. I think a Palmeiras side that won't have any of the ball and will be really banking on their physicality. Here's the problem with Palmeiras in the next round. No Gustavo Gomes, their captain leader at the back, and also no Piqueres, their very defensive-minded fullback. So that's two of your best defenders, which is a huge identity of this Palmeiras side, out in the next round.
Yeah, and they're going to bribe Estevao, too. Chelsea's going to bribe Estevao, bro. There's no way, right?
There's no way.
There's no way. That's a cool little storyline that Estevao will be able to play against this Chelsea team, the team that he's going to after this tournament ends. This most likely will be his last game with Palmeiras as he transitions over to his new club. But for Palmeiras to pull off the result here, yeah, you're asking a lot. You're asking a lot this time around, because Chelsea, I think, really balances out the strengths of this Palmeiras team. I think Chelsea has them as well. The ability to grind a result out, to play really physical ball. You got Moises Caicedo in the midfield, ready to just be a bulldozer and be involved in every single midfield play. And then offensively, stopping attacks like Cole Palmer, Pedro Neto. That's different from, Igor Jesus, Savarino. The different quality, different talent overall. So I have Chelsea winning that matchup. Sure, it might be tight. It might be close, and Palmeiras could definitely even get a goal on the board. But I think there's a stark difference in quality here. And I think after the close call that Chelsea just went through with Benfica, I think they're seeing the prospect of a semifinal appearance become very realistic.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to go for it full throttle. I have Chelsea going through here.
Yeah, I have Chelsea going through as well. Honestly, I would give Palmeiras a 50-50 chance if Gomez and Piqueres were starting.
That's tough, bro.
I really
That's
do
tough.
wish they were, so we could see Palmeiras at their full 11. But without those two massive players for them defensively, I just think eventually one of the Chelsea forwards will find a way through Palmeiras. And then at that point, you're asking Palmeiras to score not 1, but 2 goals. Yeah, I just don't really see that happening.
I will say, though, win or lose for Palmeiras, incredible achievement. Top 8 in the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
Debut of this tournament with this format. A little questionable about the path, getting around a 60 match against Botafogo.
Absolutely.
I would have wished it would have been a European team, but either way, I can't criticize. I think being final 8 is super impressive and indicative that Palmeiras is obviously one of the biggest clubs in the Americas. It makes sense that they're here representing us ultimately in this tournament.
It makes complete sense seeing Palmeiras in the final 8 when you look at all the clubs that are here. You look at the clubs that represent CONMEBOL and CONCACAF. Palmeiras through to the quarters. I think they'll have fun against Chelsea, but damn.
So then what if they win?
Right, that's the thing.
What if they win?
There is a chance, but I think the way Chelsea fought so hard today against Benfica, and ultimately they were the better side. They came out on top. I think Chelsea, if they put in that similar performance, there's just no way Palmeiras go through. But Palmeiras will try. That's what I'm really excited about the matchup.
If they win, I would genuinely be super, super impressed because I know I was lower on this Palmeiras team going to the tournament, but it also does make sense that they were able to do what they did so far. Topping the group stage after seeing the teams involved, makes sense. Getting past Botafogo makes sense.
Yeah.
Going to the semifinals, to me, doesn't make sense. But if they do it, then there's something truly there that I need to become aware of because maybe it's that Brazilian power, maybe it's the Brazilian fans being involved, maybe it's the Brazilian talent that I'm undermining here. Pulling off a result against Chelsea would be, I think, historic, and would be insane because at that point they could go to the final.